What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to give you a game preview / game prediction for the 2023 college football season. And our game preview / game prediction will be Week 8's matchup between the Penn State Nittany Lions and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Big time top 10 showdown coming up here this weekend for the 8th weekend of the college football season. Both of these teams are undefeated, and they also have a lot of history with one another in the Big Ten East. Looking at the series history between these two teams, Ohio State leads the series 23-14. They have won 6 straight games in a row over this Penn State team. Will Penn State finally end the streak coming up this weekend? It's going to be a very tough task for Penn State to do that because they're playing on the road here in Columbus, but we're going to give you a game preview / game prediction on this game and go through the stats for both of these teams and also give you the game summary of what time the game will be coming up this weekend, and then, of course, their previous game results, and then we'll give you a game prediction at the end of this one to kind of see how the game will go down coming up to this weekend. So Penn State versus Ohio State, let's get right into it here with our game preview / game prediction. We'll start here with the stat comparisons between these two teams. Starting with Penn State, they're coming into this game with a record of 6-0. They're averaging about 44.3 points per game. And then you look at the total yards per game. The offense has been really good this year. That points per game number is really good this year for Penn State. I feel like it's kind of similar to last year, but they're averaging about 426.7 yards per total yards this year. And again, this offense has been very good this year. Passing yards, 223.3 yards per passing. Drew Aller's had a really good year this year. He's thrown 12 touchdowns, no interceptions on the year, so he's had a really good season. And then rushing yard numbers, this is a Penn State team that can run the football pretty well. They got some really good tailbacks in the backfield and everything, and then you got the offensive ranking. It's 42nd in the country, but I feel like this offense for Penn State has been a really good offensive team this year. But the thing about this Penn State team is that the defense has been really explosive. The defense is first in the country on defense. Maybe that's a tie for first because there's probably another team that's ranked first in the country, but Penn State, I think, has been the best defense this year so far when you look at their previous game results. Let's now go to Ohio State stats. They're coming into this game with a record also at 6-0. They're averaging about 36 points per game. That offense is not very explosive as it was from last year. I think it's a very different offensive style for this Ohio State team. Total yards per game are still really good for Ohio State, though. They're averaging about 443 yards per total yards this year. Passing yard numbers, 308 yards per passing. Kyle McCord's been getting better and better each and every single game that he's played this year. He's only thrown 1 interception on the year, so that's not really a bad stat there. And he's thrown 11 touchdowns on the year. So, yeah, this Ohio State team has been really good at passing the football, but their weakness right now is definitely the running game. They have not been really the best at running the football, about 135 yards per rushing. They do got some really good tailbacks. Henderson has been one of their top, tailbacks this year on the offensive side of the football. He's got 5 rushing touchdowns on the year, but he's going to have a big game in this one against Penn State coming up this weekend. Offensively, on offense, 33rd in the country. So, yeah, they're better on offense than Penn State, but, again, this offense just doesn't look like the same offense that we saw from last year. But again, this is a passing attack team, so that's the reason why their offensive number is still at 440 yards per total yards this year. And then the defense has been really good for Ohio State. They're 7th in the country on defense. So both of these teams are ranked in the top 10 on defensive sides of the football. So, again, those are the stat comparisons between these two teams. Again, both teams undefeated with similar records at 6-0. Penn State has the points per game advantage. They have the rushing game advantage as well, so that's going to be the big key there for Penn State going into this weekend is run the football. And then defensively, I think they're going to want to make some big stops in this game. But they're both pretty even defenses. Again, both ranked in the top 10 this year in defense. So let's now go into the game summary now for both of these teams. This game will be at noon Eastern time this Saturday on Fox. It's in Columbus, Ohio. Ohio State's favored by 4.5 going into this game as of right now, and the over and under as of right now stands at 48. I can see why the over and under is pretty low for this game. It's going to be a defensive battle. I think both defenses, like I said, are pretty even. They're both ranked in the top 10. Penn State, again, undefeated going into this game. Ohio State also going undefeated into this game. They're both 6-0. I think Penn State's kind of been the better team than Ohio State this year, but again, this is a pretty even matchup. You never know what can happen in this game. Penn State again, or Ohio State is actually leading this series. They're again leading this series 23-14. They have won 6 in a row, looking to make it 7 this upcoming weekend. But this game's on Fox, and again, Ohio State's got home field advantage, and I think a lot of people are very surprised that this is an early kickoff time. I thought it would be a night game, but I like how it's an early kickoff time. I'm not really, too mad about that either, so I think this is going to be a really good game. And again, this game's at noon Eastern time. Ohio State favored by 4.5. And again, that over and under is at 48, which I think it's really reasonable because I think both defenses are pretty even. Again, a top 10 showdown. College Game Day is going to be here for this game as well this weekend. So we'll see the College Game Day crew going out to this game. So again, big time Big Ten showdown here coming up this weekend here in the Big Ten East. Let's now go into the previous game results here for both of these teams. Starting with Penn State. Ever since September the 9th, they have been completely dominant. You look at that Delaware game, it kind of started from there. They won that game 63-7. September the 16th, they defeated Illinois on the road for their first Big Ten win, 30-13. Then they defeated Iowa 31-0 in a shutout. Their defense was pretty dominant in that game. September the 23rd, they defeated Iowa. Then they defeated Northwestern September the 30th. They won that game 41-13. They were in a tight battle there in the first half, but then second half they pulled away in that game. And then they defeated UMass off their bye week, October the 14th, yesterday 63-0. So yes, this offense has been very good. The defense has been really good. You could tell by the numbers that they've only given up this year. Defensively, they've only given up 13 points. That's been their most points that they've given up on the defensive side of the football. And you can just see why the defense is first in the country. For Ohio State, they're also 6-0. They defeated Youngstown State 35-7. September 16th, they defeated Western Kentucky 63-10. That's been their best offensive performance so far of the season. That's been their most points scored. Notre Dame, they defeated them on the road 17-14 in a really tough game. Scored a last-second touchdown in that game when Notre Dame only had like 10 players on the field. Maryland, they defeated them 37-17 on October the 7th. And then they defeated Purdue on the road this past weekend, or I should say yesterday, October the 14th, defeating them 41-7. So Ohio State, they had a big win on the road at Purdue. That's been the best of their offense so far against Big Ten opponents. But again, I think Penn State has just been a lot better on offense than Ohio State this year. But again, this is an even matchup on both sides of the football. So we'll see what happens. But again, these are the previous game results here for both of these teams. Again, both of these teams are undefeated. Let's now go into the game prediction here for both of these teams. So we got Penn State versus Ohio State again coming up this Saturday at noon Eastern time. This is a game that's going to kind of decide who has a really good path to the college football playoff and also who's a serious playoff contender as well. I think both of these teams are definitely playoff contenders, from the beginning of the season. But I just think it's going to be a really tight game. I think these are, two teams that are going to have their toughest competition yet. Ohio State's already had a tough competition to begin with Notre Dame, but this will be their first real Big Ten matchup test. They were really close with Maryland, but I think, Ohio State, this is their toughest game, and they're going to be definitely playing in the Big Ten this year. And according to the FBI likes Ohio State in this game. They give them about a 63.4% chance to win this one, and then Penn State 36.6% chance. But both sides of the football, here's how I think it's going to go down. I think both defenses are going to really be the day in this one. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. Maybe the second half, both offenses start to get going, but home field advantage does play in favor of the Buckeyes. But I don't think the home field advantage is going to be the difference. I think it's going to come down to a turnover, maybe a late touchdown. And I think both offenses start to get going in the second half. But this game is going to be a dogfight. It's going to kind of decide who maybe is that second best team behind Michigan in the Big Ten. But again, this is a dogfight. At the end of the day, though, I do like Ohio State's defense just a little bit better, and also a turnover changes the game. But I don't really see Ohio State losing at home to Penn State. I think it makes it 7 in a row that Ohio State defeats Penn State this weekend. But my final score prediction is going to be 24-17. And like I said, I think this is a low-scoring game. I don't think Ohio State's going to cover that spread, But, you never know what can happen. But I just think it's going to be a defensive battle. And also, I think a turnover probably changes the game as well. So I got the Buckeyes winning this one here at home against Penn State. And that also will make them, win that one like 7 years in a row. But you never know. Penn State could pull off a huge upset here this weekend. We'll find out if Penn State's a really good team, going into this weekend, and we'll find out if Ohio State is still that kind of top team ahead of Penn State and everything. So this is my official game prediction / game preview for this game between Ohio State and Penn State. Let me guys know what you think about this game preview / game prediction. And also, give me your prediction on this game. Who do you think wins it? Do you think Ohio State wins it? And also, do you think Penn State wins it? Give me your final score prediction as well down in the comments below. And stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports channel.